Hi, everyone. This is Paula. I am the librarian over at Lawrence Road, but you may remember me from the pandemic when I was offering all sorts of tech tips to help make your lives a little bit easier, especially as we were working remotely. I did create a few videos at the start of the year to kind of get us all up and running with Schoology. But as you may have heard, Schoology is no more here in Uniondale, and we are going back to the learning management system that we know so well, which is Google Classroom. So today I'll be providing a quick refresher on how we can sort of get ourselves reacquainted with this application and get our classes up and running as soon as possible. So today I will be reviewing the overall setup of Google Classroom, assignments and grading, what it looks like from the student's point of view, and ways to get family and parents connected. What I'm going to do in the description of this video here on YouTube is create sort of a table of contents so that you can click on the section or sections and jump to that portion of the video. In addition, there are other videos on my YouTube channel in the playlist called Google Classroom that you may want to refer to. Now, to be fair, there may have been some updates since last school year, but I think for the most part, most of those tips and tricks still apply. So please feel free to explore those just, to kind of refresh your memory, because it does feel like an awfully long time since we've looked at these things. So first things first, when you open up or Gmail or whatever it is, any Google application, as long as you're signed in, is going to give you this waffle. And that allows you to choose from all of the Google applications that the district offers in our subscriptions. So if you tap that little waffle in the upper right corner, you will find Classroom. So when we tap that, you're going to see class tiles. Now, depending on what you did at the end of the year last year, you may have really cleaned it up really well and archived any old classes. So the only tiles that are showing up for you now should be the ones that are kind of repopulated for this year's rosters. The sync happened over the weekend, and all of our classes should be listed, our current classes for the 2022-23 school year. If that is not the case, please email Anna Ritter so that she can look into your account and make sure that you have access to your current classes and rosters. When you accept those classes and open them up, then you will be able to, continue with this setup portion. By the way, your students, once you open up these classes, your students will automatically see those class tiles in their Google Classrooms as well. There is no need to send invitations or share class codes if they are classes that you currently teach inside PowerSchool. If you wanted to create a class, for your own personal use, maybe for a club or something for extra help or something that is not rostered inside PowerSchool, then you can go ahead and create that by clicking the plus sign here in Google Classroom and then share the join code with whichever students you would like to invite. But it should be properly configured for you with the classes that you teach. So the tiles that you are looking at here should be the ones that you're teaching this year. So I'm just going to jump into this practice Google Classroom. So here I am in my Google Classroom. I have not edited this since last year, but it's all the layout of it really is exactly how we intend to use it again this year. Again, we do not need to create a class or invite our students because that was done behind the scenes for us. But what you may want to do, as you remember from last year, when your class is first created, you get a very generic banner up here at the top. And, a lot of us got accustomed to, perhaps adding this Bitmoji type thing, or it could just be very basic, a solid color with the name of your course and maybe the class period, so that it's very clear when the student lands in there, which class they're in. So of course you can customize this banner. Google Classroom provides many for us. You can absolutely choose one of theirs. They've got some photos, already here. if you wanted to choose, one of their pre-made ones, or you could create your own. Of course, you could do it inside Google Slides or another program like that. Canva has a bunch that are already made, and you could just sort of, tweak them to be, personalized for you. Again, I have a video, I believe, from last year on how to create a Google Classroom banner using Google Slides. And I believe the size was something in the neighborhood of 8 inches by 2 inches, something like that. So if you wanted to create a custom sized slide, you could do that and create your banner, to look however you want, save those slides as JPEGs and import them right in here. I'm just going to leave this banner as it is. The first thing you might want to change to personalize it is the banner. Inside the banner, you'll see your course name. Below the banner, if you're working on a desktop or a Chromebook, you're going to see that Google Meet link that is auto-generated as part of Google Classroom. So that will allow you to, hold a virtual class with only the students who are members of this class. You can make this link visible or invisible to students, and I will show you how to do that in just a second. And if you remember, the default screen that you land on inside Google Classroom is the stream. And that is the place where you should be posting only announcements. You should not have anything to do with assignments on here, because then the wall becomes very, very, very crowded and overwhelming for everybody to look at. So while we're talking about editing settings, let's take a look at this settings cog. And you'll see the name of your class and description and, anything else that you filled in. By the way, unlike Schoology, you are permitted to change the name of the class and section. I believe this is going to be auto-populated with the terminology or phrasing from PowerSchool. And if you don't like that, you are absolutely allowed to change it here. In Schoology, it's sort of, kind of wrecked the mojo of, syncing back and forth with grades and stuff like that. We were told, don't adjust any of this description, but here in Google Classroom, you can. So if you wanted to change any of this, feel free. As you scroll down, if you ever needed to see your invite link or class code, they are here. And then there are a few settings that you probably are going to want to adjust. The default for the stream is that everyone, you and students, can both post and comment. This is your preference, depending on how you want to run your virtual Google Classroom. Most teachers select either only teachers can post or comment, or if they would like to have a little bit of conversation back and forth, they allow their students to only be able to comment. So in other words, if I posted, hey, there's a test on Friday, a student would be able to respond below it saying, hey, which chapter was that again? Or something like that. And we can have a tiny little conversation only if I initiate it. They can comment, but they can't create their own post. That's the second option here. If you don't mind, having students be, able to chat back and forth on here, it will become a big chat board. We've seen that time and again. So my recommendation is to switch it to students can only comment, or only teachers can post or comment. The other thing that you're going to want to change, the default here, is to show classwork, attachments, and details right on the stream. I think that's a bad move because as you know from past experience, you put lots and lots of assignments and updates and things like that. And anytime you post anything, it shows up on the stream, and that can be really, really, really distracting to students. So again, my recommendation, this is your call. It's your virtual classroom. You can set it up how you like. But my recommendation is to choose hide notifications altogether. You don't want anything to do with classwork on the stream. The Meet link, I believe, if I remember correctly, the default is so that the Meet link is not visible to students. So please double check when you first open or create your Google Class that you toggle this so that it is on, and therefore that Google Meet link is visible to students. The only other thing you may want to adjust would be your grading calculations. So you could see that there are options for showing the overall grade to students or not. You can toggle that on and off. You can make your overall grade calculation be, have no grade showing or by points or weighted by category. That's your choice. Once you're happy with that, you're going to hit save. In addition, there are a couple of other tabs up here. There's the grades tab we'll talk about in a second. The people tab, this one you might want to add. Again, your students are going to be automatically populated in here. But if you have a co-teacher or a colleague, a friend that's helping you out, so that's an option as well. And then finally, the classwork tab is the big one. That's where we spend most of our time. And just a reminder, I think it's really important inside Google Classroom. I think we all experienced how big and long the list can get inside Google Classroom, as we're working throughout the year. Many people decided that they were going to create brand new Google Classrooms each quarter because it was just too much to manage, too many documents, too many assignments and assessments and everything on here. So totally your call. But at the very least, you should break down your class for the year by topic. And the topics that you create, you would do that here by clicking the little plus sign and choosing topic or selecting topic. I have a few here. So you might want to have something called assignments. Maybe you have another topic called attendance. Maybe you have something that's like, hey, how to, do a couple of things that are really common in your class, something like that, just sort of some reminders. Maybe you want to have something that's like, basically the cutoff, right? Like, if you're not going to create a new Google Classroom for the second quarter, maybe you want to just make it very clear with, an emoji and, some text that makes it very clear. Listen, this is old. Do not submit an assignment here. I'm not looking at it, something like that. So you could create your topics to be, anything that works for you. I know a lot of teachers last year created basically week by week. So there might be a topic instead of tech tips. It might say week of November 7th, something like that. And if that helps you to stay organized, other people named it by unit, and they would put all the related assignments and resources below that unit name. Whatever works for you, just be clear with your students, let them know how your class is arranged, because again, they have to, now get accustomed to not only Google Classroom again, but also the fact that they've got, 8 or 9 different teachers who may, set up their Google Classroom topics a little bit differently. So just, let them know what yours looks like. And feel free to use emojis to make your topics stand out. You might want to have one that says, check here every day. Maybe that's the do now or the homework. You could really word these to be, as convenient as you want for your students. Let's quickly look at assignments and grading. And so now if I'm ready to create an assignment, I think this part, even in Schoology, was, pretty similar. I don't think anybody has fallen completely out of the habit of this, but just a quick reminder. When we tap the create button, you have a choice. You can create an assignment with Kami. If you wanted, if you know that you would like your students to be able to write on the document, maybe it's a PDF or an image, a Kami assignment is the way to do that. You can create a quiz or just a question. A lot of people did that as like a check-in or an attendance question, something like that. Just a quick reminder, a material is not something that a student is required to submit, right? So that would be something like you just want to post your syllabus, or you just want to post a list of key terms for the unit, and it's just something for the kids to refer to. It's not anything that they have to do, and as an assignment. And the other really useful option here under create is reuse a post. So you can actually take a post from a prior class from last year and reuse it. So let's practice. We'll just do a quick word. You must put a title. You do not have to put instructions, but it often makes sense to do that. So again, your titles can include emojis. So if you wanted it to stand out, you can certainly do that. Just try to be as, clear and succinct as you can in your titles and the instructions. We now have, this was, I think, a fairly new feature at some point last year, where you can make the instructions bold, create a bulleted list, things like that. Again, just to make it more visually appealing to the kids and easier to read. You can attach as many documents as you need to. So if you wanted the students to watch a YouTube video and then complete a worksheet that you created on Google Docs, you could attach both of those documents here. You can upload something from your hard drive if you had it. You can add a link to an outside website. Just this is all, I think, pretty standard. And if you have specific questions as you're working, you can always reach out to me and I'm happy to help. On the right-hand side in this little menu bar here, this is where you have some options of just who you are going to be assigning this to. So if you wanted to assign this to multiple classes, this is where you would do it. You drop this little menu down, and if you're going to assign this to your period 2 and 3 and 4, you can select all of those classes. You even have the option of assigning it only to individual students, perhaps somebody who is absent. You could adjust the number of points for the assignment, offer a due date, decide whether or not this assignment is going to go underneath a topic. If you have a rubric, you can attach it here. And once all of these fields or the required fields are filled in, you can either click Assign, or these are gray for me here because I'm not really filling anything in, but normally we would just hit Assign. But again, you can schedule this to show up at a later date. Or if, the bell rings while you're typing and you're not even done yet, you can hit Save Draft and then go back to it later. And it's not assigned to anyone. It's just a draft for you until you assign or schedule it. So those are your saving options. Once you save it, it appears in your list of assignments. I'm going to just X out of this one. And let's say this is the one I created and I decided, oh, you know what? This actually belongs down here under assignment examples. I'm going to drag it down and there it goes. So you can drag and drop pretty readily inside Google Classroom just to stay organized. When you click the grades tab at the top, you can click on any of the assignments to see who has turned them in and who hasn't. So if we click that, now mine is going to be sort of a disaster because none of these are real assignments and I don't even have real students in my classes, but you get the idea. So we would see the titles of the assignments across here, and you can see if I had more than one student, it would show, if it was past the due date, it would show missing or completed or submitted. And here's where you can enter your grades. You can view what they've submitted and you can give their grade here. It's also a good place for you to put a private comment to them, and the students are, able to see that and respond back to you. So this is, really good for communication. So again, hitting the grades tab will allow you to see, all the assignments and who has submitted or not. Another way you can check the grades for your class is when you go to the main page where all your class tiles are. You can look at any of those class tiles and select this little squiggly arrow that's attached to the class, and that will bring you right to that grades page as well. And the final place that you can take a peek at grades is by going to the main page of a given class. So I'm back in my practice class here, and off to the left, if I had an assignment that was due soon or was past due, I could click it from here. But if I click on View All, you can see who turned it in, who assigned it, did I grade it? It gives me sort of a snapshot view of, oh shoot, I forgot to grade this one, right? So now let's talk about a couple of things that are specific to the students in the student view and things that the students themselves should get in the habit of. And I guess we're the best ones to remind them about what those features are. So here I am in my student view. I've now logged in as my fake student, Ron Weasley. And here are some classes that Ron Weasley is a member of. So if I go into the one that I was sort of messing with, and I know I've assigned some fake things to Mr. Weasley, Here I am looking at it as the child. And what you'll see, it looks almost identical to our view. But what the kids need to get accustomed to, the only tabs that they don't have are the grade book, right? They don't have that one. But the view is the same. So they can click, if he had some assignments coming up, it would show what they were. But if you can remind the students that this is the to-do list off to the side here. They can see what's coming up in this particular class, in Trapani's class, or he can click on the little hamburger in the upper left corner and choose to do. And that will show him every assignment that he has to do for all of his classes. It's going to show the ones with no due date first, the ones due this week, the ones due next week, and so on and so forth. And if there were things that were missing, they would be below. But again, since this is a practice class, it's not going to be entirely accurate. But this is a really important button for kids because they could see what's assigned, what's missing, and even what's finished already. If they needed to resubmit something, they could find an older assignment and, take it back and make an edit, right? So the hamburger in the left corner, the 3 lines, allow you to choose to do. Okay, so that is a really important thing to share with kids so that they are, they remember. That's a quick way, that they can sort of see everything at a glance. The other thing that's really useful for them is when they go into any given class and choose classwork. On an iPad, it's going to be near the bottom of the screen, and on a desktop or Chromebook, the Classwork tab is near the top. In addition to the list of assignments, obviously, up in the near the top, just below the word classwork, you're going to see the button for Google Meet and Google Calendar. That is another quick way to see at a glance what's due in your classes, week by week or however your calendar is laid out. So if we tap that, if I had assignments that were due this week, they would show up here. Normally, a student would see, and we teachers would see the assignments that are coming up in the next week or so. So that's a really useful button. They also have access to that class drive folder. So this is where they could see any of the files that are in their drive attached to this particular class. That could be useful, if they're trying to find a document that is related to your class. It will show up here. It's automatically added to the class drive. So when a student is in that classwork tab, they're going to scroll down and find he could click on the assignment and you'll see the description and any attachments that go with it. And in order to actually work on it, they've got to click this view assignment button down here, and then it opens up. If there was an attachment for that I created, like a Google Slides that I wanted him to type on, or some other, PDF to write on or whatever, any attachments would be listed here. Every once in a while, it becomes necessary for the student himself to add or create a document. So if they need to take a picture of their calculations in math, right, they did it on a piece of paper, they could add an additional document as well. Whenever they work on the assignment that was originally attached or the one that they've added themselves, as soon as it's finished, they can click that turn in button. So please remind the students that that comment feature is there and that they have the ability to add or create if they need to create a brand new attachment to go with that assignment. And that is pretty much it. So this is how it will look to your students. It looks very similar from both the student point of view and the teacher point of view, but I just wanted you to see, exactly how it looks, to them. And the last piece is this idea of family connection. So if you remember from last year, parents have the option not of becoming students in your class. You cannot invite anyone who is not a member of the Uniondale School District to be a member of your class. However, Google Classroom gives parents the option of joining as guardians. So if these were real students, in our district, there would be a button right next to the child's name that says invite guardian. And you could tap that button. And if you had the parent's email address, you could send them an invitation. So in the description of this video, I'm going to attach the 2 YouTube links that I made last year. One was directed at teachers, how you can invite parents, and one was more geared toward the parents of how they can ask to be invited, and the fact that they then have a choice of receiving daily or weekly summaries of their students' assignments. They're not really in the class, they're not seeing everything that's happening, but they are getting a snapshot view of what their child accomplished or didn't accomplish by the due date. I hope that this was a good refresher. And, I hope everyone is excited to start using Google Classroom again. The other thing that I think is going to be really appealing is that all of those other outside apps like Edpuzzle and Formative and Brain Pop and all the other things that we had gotten accustomed to using, both working from home and when we returned last school year, they integrated seamlessly with Google Classroom. So they will be back, everything will be working. I think many people were struggling, to use those programs within Schoology. And that was, I think, one of the reasons why ultimately the decision was made that Schoology didn't work for us. We weren't able, to function the way that we had become accustomed to. So I think as you have questions, you can reach out to me or to your school librarian or to Anna Ritter if it's something that we are unable to fix ourselves. And we would be happy to help you get back into using all of those applications with our learning management system of Google Classroom. I hope this was helpful. And if you have any other questions, you can find me on YouTube and TikTok at Quick Tech for Teachers, where there might already be some videos on Google Classroom that can help you get going.